I just made this video so that others might learn by what I think are my mistakes with residential wind power. The first thing, probably the most obvious, is that you may think that you're living in a windy area, but like as you can see from this picture, the wind's blowing but the turbine isn't. So unfortunately, no wind, no power, and so it just seems kind of goofy to have the turbine up there, but it's not even moving. The second thing to consider is that you're going to need a control box or someplace to put everything, like your deep cycle batteries, your grid tie inverter, and maybe extra wiring. So that's another consideration. This was the most surprising thing for me, is that even when the wind is making the turbine spin, it needs to generate a minimum of 10.8 volts. And even at this speed, like the way it's spinning right now, it's actually only generating about 5 volts, and you'd think it would be enough to feed into the system, but it's not. And I'm just showing this to show you that on the grid tie inverter, the one that I got, it needs at least 10.8 volts, and the nearest I can calculate is the wind would have to be going about 15 to 20 miles an hour, which is pretty strong. And then on the other end of that is actually, if there's too much wind, the turbine actually makes a whirring sound, and then at a certain point it actually cuts out or dumps the excess voltage. So that's another factor. And the last thing to be aware of is hidden costs. You might need wiring, 8 to 10 gauge wires, and the thicker the gauge, the more expensive the wire is. So kind of in summary, wind power can work. Just make sure you have enough wind. It seems obvious, but it really is a factor to consider. And make sure your neighbors don't mind. The noise, when the wind really kicks up, the turbine does make noise. And that kind of surprised me. And be aware of the additional costs. You may need wiring up to 50 feet, and that can add in, $100 or more. And, just don't count on it to be constant. It varies, as does the wind. And so it's maybe more suited for like a backup emergency power than a main power source. So thank you.